A massive alien trial chamber floating in deep space. A single human male, named Elias Ward, stands alone, surrounded by hundreds of alien species watching from above. Humanity has just lost a war, not by force, but by politics and manipulation. Elias is not a soldier, he is a civilian engineer, captured by chance. The alien empire, the Aurelian Dominion, does not execute humans. Instead, they humiliate them. The crowd waits in silence as the Aurelian Empress, Lady Valrix, steps forward. She is tall, calm, and feared across the galaxy. She speaks slowly, her voice echoing, "Human, as your species' final reward, you may choose any woman you desire from any race in this chamber." The aliens laugh. This is not kindness, it is mockery. Humans are seen as weak, emotional, short-lived creatures. Elias understands the trap. If he chooses a slave or noble, humans will look desperate and small. Time stretches. The silence becomes painful. Welcome to my channel, Sci-Fi Love Story. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. The chamber was silent, not the calm kind of silence, but the heavy kind that pressed down on the chest and made breathing feel loud. The air itself seemed to wait. Hundreds of beings sat in rising tiers around the vast circular hall, their forms different, strange, and powerful. Scales, metal skin, glowing eyes, floating bodies, every known race of the Aurelian Dominion was present. At the center of it all stood one man. Elias Ward stood alone on the smooth black floor, his hands unbound, his clothes plain, his posture straight. He was human, and that alone made him small in this place. Above him, light poured down from a high opening in the ceiling, casting a sharp white circle around his feet. It made him look like an exhibit, or a warning. Elias kept his eyes forward. He did not bow. He did not kneel. The aliens noticed. They always noticed when humans did not behave as expected. Only a year earlier, humans had still believed they were alone in the universe. Then the Dominion arrived, not with weapons, but with words. Treaties, promises, and rules humanity did not yet understand. By the time Earth realized it had lost, no city burned. No armies marched. Humanity lost by agreement, not force. And that made the loss deeper. Elias was not a soldier. He was an orbital systems engineer, taken during negotiations, chosen because he was average, not powerful, not important. Perfect. A soft echoing sound moved through the chamber. Footsteps. The crowd parted as she approached. Lady Valrix, Empress of the Aurelian Dominion, walked with calm certainty. She was tall, her body smooth and pale silver, her eyes glowing faint gold. Thin markings ran across her face and neck, symbols of ancient authority. She was not beautiful by human standards. She was terrifying. She stopped several steps from Elias and looked down at him. Her expression was neutral, but her eyes were sharp, calculating. When she spoke, her voice filled the chamber without effort. "Human," she said, her tone even and cold. "You stand here as the final representative of your species." Murmurs spread through the crowd. Elias did not respond. He had learned quickly that silence, sometimes, was safer. Valrix continued. "The Dominion has chosen mercy," she said. "Your people will not be erased. They will serve. They will learn their place among the stars." A few alien nobles nodded. Others smiled. Yet, Valrix added, "Tradition demands a reward." The word reward caused quiet laughter to ripple through the chamber. Valrix raised one long finger, and the light in the hall shifted. Holographic forms appeared around them, women of countless species. Some were tall and graceful. Others were fierce, powerful, or elegant. Some were clearly slaves. Others wore noble markings. Elias understood them. This was not a gift. This was humiliation. Valrix's voice softened. Just slightly. You may choose any woman you desire, she said. She will be bound to you for life. The laughter grew. Louder. To the Dominion, desire was weakness. Emotion was something lesser species could not control. This choice was meant to show that humans were no different. Elias felt his heartbeat slow. Instead of quicken, he had expected pain. He had expected death. This was worse. He looked at the figures around him. Many avoided his eyes. Some stared at him with pity, others with hunger or curiosity. If he chose one, anyone, the Dominion would remember humanity as desperate. Small, easily distracted by pleasure, time passed, too much time. Valrix narrowed her eyes. Choose, she said. Elias lifted his head. He did not look at the holograms. He looked at her. The crowd quieted. Vael Rix noticed his gaze and tilted her head slightly. Amused. Elias spoke clearly. I choose you. For one heartbeat, nothing happened. Then, the chamber erupted. Shouts, gasps, anger, shock. Several guards stepped forward, weapons humming to life. Nobles stood from their seats, shouting in their own languages. Valrix did not move. Slowly, she raised her hand, and the noise died instantly. Her eyes were fixed on Elias now, not amused. Not angry. Interested. Double quotes. You mock the throne, she said quietly. No, Elias replied. I answered your offer. A dangerous silence returned. Valrix stepped closer, towering over him. Do you understand what you have done, human? She asked. Yes, Elias said. Better than you think. That was a mistake, or so everyone believed. According to Dominion law, a public choice made under ceremonial rule could not be denied, even by the Empress herself. The law existed to prevent faults, generosity from becoming cruelty. It had never been tested like this. Valrix straightened slowly. Then, by ancient law, she announced to the chamber, I accept. The reaction was chaos. The Empress had been claimed. Not by conquest, by words. Elias was escorted away immediately, surrounded by armed guards. No one spoke to him. No one met his eyes. The halls of the imperial residence were cold and vast, built to remind visitors how small they were. Elias walked calmly. Inside. Fear twisted in his chest, but he did not let it show. That night he was given a room larger than any home he had ever lived in. Food was placed before him, untouched by servants who watched from a distance. He ate slowly, he slept lightly, and he listened. The next days passed quietly. Too quietly. Valrix did not summon him. Instead, observers came, scholars, legal experts, psych analysts. They asked questions disguised as conversation. Elias answered simply, honestly, and carefully. They expected begging. They expected pride. They received patience. Valrix finally called for him on the 7th day. He was brought into a private chamber, smaller than the grand hall, but heavier with meaning. Valrix stood alone near a wide window that looked out into space. You planned this, she said without turning. I reacted. Elias replied. She faced him. No human reacts this way. Then maybe you don't know humans as well as you think. Valrix studied him for a long moment. You understand that you are not my equal, she said. Elias nodded. Yes, and yet you chose me. Yes, why? Elias met her eyes. Because you are the only one here who cannot be owned. The words landed harder than any insult. Valrix's expression shifted, not anger, but something closer to concern. You believe this gives you power? She said. No, Elias answered. I believe it gives us time. She laughed once, sharp and short. You are trapped here, she said. A symbol, a lesson. Elias shook his head slowly. Symbols change meaning, he said. That's what humans do best. Valrix turned away, unsettled. Later that night, alone, she reviewed the ancient laws dot and realized the truth dot by choosing her. Elias had triggered protections meant for royal consorts. He could not be harmed. He could not be silenced. He had the right to speak in council, a human voice dot in the heart of the Dominion. For the first time in centuries, Lady Valrix felt something unfamiliar dot, uncertainty dot, and somewhere in the vast Imperial residence, Elias Ward sat quietly, knowing one thing with absolute clarity. He was no longer their prisoner, and they were not ready for what humans became when given time. The Dominion did not sleep after that dot across the Imperial capital. Lights stayed on through the artificial night cycle. Messages moved faster than usual. Whispers traveled through halls meant to silence them. The choice made in the Grand Chamber had shaken more than pride dot, it had shaken certainty. Elias Ward woke early, as he always had on Earth. The habit remained even here, surrounded by walls that hummed softly with alien energy. He sat on the edge of his bed and breathed slowly, grounding himself. He was not calm because he felt safe. He was calm because fear wasted time. When the door opened, 2 guards waited. Their faces were unreadable, their weapons inactive but ready. "Empress requests your presence," one said. Elias nodded and followed without a word. This time, he was not taken to a private chamber. He was led into the council hall. The room was vast, shaped like a half-sphere, with rows of elevated platforms. Circling a central floor, powerful beings stood or floated at each station. Some glowed, some radiated heat. Others felt empty, like deep space given form. At the center stood Lady Valrix, and beside her, an empty space for him. Elias felt hundreds of eyes turn toward him as he walked forward. He did not rush. He did not hesitate. He took his place, alone. Murmurs spread through the council. Valrix raised her hand. "By binding law," she announced, "the human Elias Ward speaks with protected voice." The reaction was immediate. Several council members protested. Others demanded review. Some simply watched in silence. Valrix did not argue. "The law stands," she said. Elias said nothing. He understood something important. When power argues, it reveals weakness. The council moved on to other matters, but the room remained tense. Elias listened. He learned. Trade disputes, resource claims, punishments delivered to worlds that resisted Dominion control. He did not interrupt. Not yet. After the session ended, Valrix stopped him. "You are learning quickly," she said. "I have to," Elias replied. "Humans don't live long enough to waste time." That answer followed her longer than she expected. Days passed. Elias was present at every council session. He watched how the Dominion ruled, how fear kept order, how obedience replaced loyalty. He noticed something else too. Dominion was strong, but it was tired. Worlds obeyed because they had no choice, not because they believed. Systems worked because no one dared to test them, except one. Human. Elias began small. When a mighty world was punished for missing tribute, Elias asked a simple question. How much energy did the punishment cost? The council paused. The answer was more than the missed tribute itself. "Then you lost resources to teach obedience," Elias said calmly. "Humans call that bad math." Some laughed. Others did not. Valrix watched closely. Later, she confronted him privately. "You weaken authority," she said. "No," Elias replied. "I strengthen results." She had no answer for that. Over time, servants noticed something strange. Elias spoke to them, asked their names, thanked them. Small gestures that meant nothing to the Dominion, but to those who lived under it, it meant everything. Rumors spread. The human was different, not loud, not violent, not afraid, just steady. The nobles began to worry. Power built on fear could not stand beside power built on respect. A meeting was held without. Veilrix, plans were made. Elias sensed the shift before it happened. He noticed how guards changed positions, how conversation stopped when he entered, how silence followed him through halls. He warned Veilrix, "They are going to move against you," he said. "And against me. I am the Empress," she replied. "They would not dare." "They will," Elias said, "because fear makes people brave in stupid ways." The attempt came during a council session. Energy barriers failed, weapons activated. 3 nobles moved at once, aiming not at Veilrix, but at Elias. Guards reacted too late. Elias did not move. Veilrix stepped forward, but Elias raised his hand. "Wait," he said. The word cut through the chaos. Elias spoke clearly. "By council law, any act of violence within this chamber requires public declaration of cause." The attackers froze. "You accuse me of corruption," Elias continued, "but you plan murder without trial." He turned slowly, meeting each of their eyes. "I am human," he said. "I am weak. I am short-lived." His voice did not shake. "And yet you fear me." Security forces stormed the chamber. The traitors were seized. No shots were fired. Afterward, silence filled the hall again. Veilrix looked at Elias with something new in her eyes. Respect. The Dominion could have executed the conspirators. Instead, Veilrix allowed Elias to speak. He did not demand death. He demanded reform. Laws were reviewed. Tribute systems adjusted. Worlds were given choice instead of threat. Not freedom, but dignity. Resistance dropped. Productivity rose. Veilrix stood before the council weeks later. "The human has shown us a truth we forgot," she said. "Control is not strength. Stability is." Elias watched the stars that night from the same window Veilrix once stood beside. "You could stay," she said. "Help rebuild the Dominion?" Elias shook his head. "My people need to see what's possible," he said. "And your people need to prove they can choose it themselves." Veilrix nodded slowly. "When you chose me," she said, "I thought you wanted power." "I wanted time," Elias replied. She smiled faintly. Elias returned to Earth not as a captive, but as an ambassador. Humanity was no longer small. It was watched. Respected. Carefully. And across the galaxy, the story spread. They offered humanity pleasure as an insult. Humanity answered with dignity, and the stars remembered. End.